so sorry that some people who are meant to be on your journey and you just know the second that you meet them that they are meant to be in your path. Well, Candice is one of those people for me. And apologize, I thought I was recording this whole time, hence the pause, and I realized that I'm not. So I started recording now. But Candice, you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Candice Thames. I live in the Houston, Texas area. I was diagnosed with breast cancer officially March of 2019. So it's been a pretty long road to hoe. And I'm at the end of my conventional treatment. I have about 2 weeks left, which I'm super excited about. And then going to be delving a little deeper into my alternative treatments. And, you know, just trying to keep on keeping on, you know what I mean? And live life and try to be thriving and, you know, working through all the emotional stuff and the mental stuff and the spiritual stuff and then the physical stuff. It can get a lot. And so, you know, having met someone like you has been a real blessing for me. And I'm really excited to be here and to be able to share some of my insights that I've learned through the last year and a half with everybody else.
Yeah, no, and thank you, because, you know, you hit it right on the head, the nail right on the head. You know, cancer and chronic illness has a physical toll, it has a mental toll, it has a spiritual toll. And like, you know, I'm 3 years out and I am still dealing with all of my emotional baggage, even though my traditional conventional therapy is over. So something that we talked about in detail privately is what we are not happy to refer to as the new normal, right? And that's something people always talk about. And it's like, you know, ultimately what we would just like, for those of you who have never sat in our shoes, and we don't want any of you to sit in our shoes, but to understand is like, all we want to do is go back to the way things were. And it's so difficult because you can't. And I like to describe that as a loss of innocence, right? Like, and you know, Candice and I were joking around yesterday of like, we really need to coin a new phrase other than new normal, because it's like, what do you mean new normal? Like, it's just, you framed it best yesterday when you're like, what do you mean new normal? There's nothing normal about this, right? And, you know, it's really a lifestyle change. There's a lot of stress associated with it. And there's a lot of trauma. And that's why I like to describe it like, you know, let's move you beyond the crisis, because it's really a crisis time in your life. But ultimately, what we want to do with this live is to also provide some hope, right? To give you, share our experiences, so that way, you know, it might resonate with you and you might be able to walk away feeling a little bit better. So Candice, do you have anything to add before we move on to our first topic?
Yeah, and I hope that after today, this conversation in particular, I really hope gives people a sense of empowerment to be able to have, you know, better conversations with their doctors and know that they're being cared for in a good way, and that they can, you know, that they have a voice in all of this. That it feels like it's happening to you, so you feel very out of control, but you have a voice and you are in control. And so I want people to walk away with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of our big topics for tonight, is actually conversations with your care team. You know, when most of us, all of us, never expected to be in the position that we're in, and it can be really overwhelming. And, you know, in my own experience, when I've been to clinics or physicians' offices with my loved ones, you know, they talk at such a level where people just don't understand. And for me, that's really, really frustrating. And I think, Candice, you agree with that. Like, you know, it's like, we're not dumb people, but unless you have been trained and you work in the environment every day, you're not going to understand what they're saying to you. Or also, if you're a patient and you are sitting there listening to, you know, them say you need, 8 more rounds of treatments, like after that, it's like game over. You're not listening anymore.
Mhm.
So one of the things that we think is really crucial is like, first and foremost, choose a physician or work with a physician, because technically you're a team and you're a part of that team that ultimately listens and is happy to answer your questions first and foremost. And Candice, please interject at any time. We talked about advocating for yourself. If you feel
Yeah,
that you can't.
I think, I know it's very overwhelming whenever you go into a doctor's office and, they have so much training and schooling, and they're smart, and it's an intimidating environment, and you're already dealing with, potentially something terrible. And now's not the time to be shy.
Yeah.
Now's the time to really use your voice and make sure that you don't leave the room unless every question is answered. If you have any questions walking out, they didn't do their job.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
And so also in your experience, right? Have you had a physician that got kind of annoyed with you when you kept asking a lot of questions, and how did you handle it?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've never really been a shy person. And I can be quite confrontational by nature. So I really didn't have that issue per se. But yeah, I mean, I had a lot of doctors actually get pretty perturbed with me asking so many questions, because I would come in armed with questions, and then they would answer those, but it would bring up more questions. So then I would just keep asking and asking and asking, and they're just like, I need to get out of here. And I'm like, no, like, you need to answer my question. And sometimes I would have to ask the same question like multiple times in a row. I'm like, but you didn't answer this. Like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
And so I would really ask them to like break it down. I need you to explain this to me, because I don't know what you're saying to me.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to say that, like, I don't know what this means exactly. I need you to tell me, like, break
Absolutely.
it down, right?
It is more often than not that people will leave a physician's office either not remembering what is said to them or assuming that they meant X, Y, and Z. I had a loved one who left her PCP's office with an appointment to get a bone marrow biopsy, because they thought that she had like a myeloma of some sort. And she left there with an appointment, was about to go and see a hemato, oncologist, and she didn't even realize what she was in for. And I kind of lost my mind. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, like when I saw the card sitting on the counter, I'm like, what's happening? And like, no concept at all of what's going on. And I don't blame the patient. I blame the physician at that point, or even the nurses, like anybody who's associated with it, of like, they should ask you, like, do you understand what's going on? And I find that that's really, really lacking.
I think it's also important for people to take someone with them to their doctor's appointments, particularly when you're dealing with big issues like chronic illnesses, because whenever you're in the middle of it and, you're the one with it, sometimes you don't hear everything. And so I think it's important to have somebody with you. And now with COVID, they're not letting people in. So the alternative option is to ask your doctor, can I record this?
Yeah.
And a lot of doctors will let you record the conversation so you can go back and listen to it again, or have somebody else listen to it with you.
Yeah. Or they let people call in.
You might miss something.
Yeah. Or they let, people call in and listen.
And
listen.
Well. Mm-hmm.
And, in defense of the physicians, we understand, like, their days are really long. They have a lot, you get one late patient or one patient that runs over, and it ruins your entire day. But at the same time, if I was able to, talk to the medical association, I'd be like, you guys need to dumb it down, especially now with how science has really progressed with the genomics and the markers and the receptors and, everything that unless you've worked in the field, you have no idea what they're talking about. You have an idea, But unless you've researched it ahead of time, like you do, you don't know. And so
Well,
they're throwing numbers and words at you, and you're like, what are you talking about?
oh yeah. I mean, the first few doctor's appointments, oncologist appointments that I went to, like, I thought they were talking a different language. I had no idea what they were saying to me.
Yeah.
And then they were trying to explain it, and they would draw diagrams and they would try to explain it. But really, you know, people say, don't get online, don't Google stuff. I'm like, Google everything. Find books, Google everything. Like, it's better than nothing. And so I would write down all this terminology, and then I would have to go look it up and find out what it means. How does it fit in?
Yeah.
You know, but this is part of the self-advocacy. Like, you need to inform yourself. You need to be armed with information. You cannot go into these appointments completely ignorant and expect the doctor to do everything for you on your behalf, you know, like you're their only patient. Because if you leave it up to them, you may get standard of care instead of the best care.
Yeah. Yeah. And also the other thing too is, like, it's okay to complain, right? So like, a lot of people don't want to complain or let them know that they're not feeling well or whatever ailments, or that this is happening, that's happening, because they feel like they're being a burden. Like, you're not being a burden. It's what they're there to do. They're there to help you, to support you. And also, you know, you don't get inpatient care if you don't like people, right? First and foremost, right? I mean, pathology is a different game. We have a rare breed of people, but first and foremost, people go into this profession because they want to help people. They want to be a support, and they actually love people. So I agree with you. Go in with, you know, go in with a list of questions. And one of the things that I'm creating that I think will be of benefit is, I'm going to have within the next 2 weeks a journal where people can use for their medical care. Mm-hmm. So if that's something of interest to anybody who's listening, I'm going to have it available on the coaching website page. I'll have the link there. And it was one of those things that I always brought myself a little notebook, and I brought it every single time. And, you know, I have my appointments, my loved ones' appointments, and it's always something that I just bring with me, because like you said, you're not going to remember everything that they say to you, or there might be something that you might want to look up. Mm-hmm. But, and then it's like lists of medications. What did they say? Do you stop taking this one? Do you take that one? Do you not? You know, there's so much information that is not available to you on your, you know, end of visit form, the paperwork that they send you home with. And a lot of people, you know, don't know how to use the patient portals. And, you know, now they're going virtual, so you don't even have that one-on-one interaction, you know, with a live person. Like, you have to do it virtually too. So I agree with you. Like, make sure that you have armed yourself with as much information as possible, you know. And then the other part of this conversation is, if you don't like how your doctor is being, right? They're humans too. And everybody has a bad day, but if it's repeatedly that you can't keep asking questions, you don't believe that your treatment plan is what it should be, or you want to ask, you know, for alternatives, it's really okay for you to go and get a second opinion.
Oh yeah. You know, I think there's a few things to keep in mind whenever you're going to the doctors, and if you feel like you're being disregarded, if you feel like you're being bullied in any way, if you don't feel like you're being heard, if your questions aren't being answered, if any of those things are happening, you're with the wrong doctor. Like, just go get a different opinion. And I personally went to 3 or 4 different oncologists before I picked the one that I wanted to go with. And they were all from different hospitals. And it was just, the first guy that I met with, I just didn't like the way he communicated with me. And I was like, no, I'm not going to this guy. Right. And so I let him continue to do his testing and do all of this stuff while I was going around interviewing oncologists. Yeah. And, you know, people call it second opinions. I call it, I'm interviewing for a doctor.
I love this. I love that.
But that's the way I look at it. I'm like, I'm interviewing you for the job that you're going to do for me.
Right. Absolutely. And also a valid point too is the pre-authorizations that you had mentioned before. Sorry, my Frenchie has decided he wants to join the conversation. Bubby. So let's talk a little bit about insurance companies. Insurance companies are gonna tell you who you can and cannot see, but you said that you've also had a different experience with that.
Mm-hmm. So I actually, once I found some doctors that I liked and was interested in, I mean, I just went ahead and made the appointment, went in, did the consultations, whatever. I would call if I liked them and was actually wanting to go to them, I would call my insurance company, get somebody on the phone and say, I need you to look up in your system, tell me if this doctor and this hospital are in network for my policy. They would look it up. They would say yes or no or whatever. Ironically, I'd never heard a no, which is awesome.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. But I made sure to do that legwork myself because I didn't want to get some crazy bill in the mail because they weren't pre-authorizing my visit or my treatment or whatever was going to occur. So I just called ahead of time and was like, hey, I'm going to go see this doctor. Are they in network? And they would go, yes. And I'm like, great. But that way, if they say no, you know you need to go somewhere else so that you don't start getting crazy medical bills in the mail.
Right. Yeah. And that's the other thing too, is that, unfortunately, it's a very expensive mistake otherwise. So yeah, make sure you do due diligence and that all of your insurance information is up to date. And one of the things too is make sure you get somebody that's willing to help you, right? Like you don't have to do all this stuff on your own as well. Like I actually had a podcast that guest who is, I'm really sorry, but he keeps biting my hand. I wish you guys could see this. He's the cutest thing. I had a podcast guest the other day, Brian Watts, who the session just went live yesterday. And he was talking about how with all of his chemo and all of his treatments and everything that he had gone through, because he was stage 4B Hodgkin's, that he never looked at the side effects of his medication. He's like, I don't want to know, because he was like, if I know what they are, then I think I'll have them and then I'll feel worse. So he had his wife be the side effects lady, right? She was a side effects queen, where he would tell her, hey, I'm feeling, I'm seeing blue spots. Like, should I be worried? And she would go and she would look at the side effects for him. And then she'd be like, no, they'll go away. This is normal. As opposed to, you need to get in the car. We need to go to the hospital. So, one of the things too that I would love to leave people with today is like, get creative. Like, this is your treatment. This is your health. This is your journey. You get to say how things go, and, empower yourself, like you said, with knowledge, research, but also with people around you, that if the people around you aren't supportive, like they're not your people, right? It's what we talk about all the time. Yeah. There's so many people out there. There's support groups, there's people that you're going to meet just because you are following the same support groups or sites, and that you could befriend and you could have them support you. So if your immediate family, loved ones, even sometimes, your significant other, it might be a huge burden on them. And sometimes like they may not be able to step up for you, and you can't fault them, right? Everybody is human and everybody has their limits. That make sure that you set yourself up powerfully with also surrounding yourself with good people.
Yeah, thankfully with technology, we have a broader support group and options than we ever have before.
Absolutely.
And people who don't have the support that they need at home, whether it's people are there or there just aren't people there. There's a lot of single people who go through these chronic illnesses that are at home by themselves. And because of technology and our ability to meet people and talk to people online, they don't feel alone anymore.
Right. So, it's true. 100%.
It's very important.
And that's why, like, I'm really sorry. Do you know that this dog has slept all day, and the second that I'm not giving him attention, he's literally biting my hand? Honestly.
He's ready to play.
He's 100. It's that time. It's your witching hour, bub. Yeah. And that's a really valid point. So if anybody out there needs some support, I know that we're happy to help answer any questions. I'm happy to get on the phone at your visits, whatever you need for support, definitely let us know. So we plan on doing this session every few weeks, and we want to talk about the hot topics and the things that people may not fully understand. So if there is something that you've always wanted to ask about, but you kind of didn't know where to start, or you thought maybe it was a stupid question, get a hold of us. Let us know. We'd be more than happy to talk about it, and we don't need to let anybody know that you asked. So any last words, Miss Candice?
No, this just flew right by. I can't believe it's already time.
I know. No,
I'm really looking forward to the comments and questions and new topics and doing this again.
Yeah, and one of the things too that we really want to talk about is like, you know, we're willing to do the heavy hitting of like drug interactions, drug side effects, how to you know, go against those, how to set yourself up powerfully with that, leaky gut syndrome that you get, you know, issues with chemotherapy, and while you're going through it, how you could really set yourself up powerfully there. When you're done, like, what do you do with this whole emotional baggage that you have? You know, and I'm even going to say it, relationships, intimacy, sex and intimacy, like that's something that we're willing to have a conversation on. And so let us know what you need to hear, and we're happy to share it.
Yes.
And for all of you watching, thank you so much for being here. Miss Candice, thank you very much for honoring us with your presence tonight. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what people have to say.
Yeah,
So,
me too.
Wishing everybody a wonderful evening, and we'll chat soon.